Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome devotees. So we are discussing the wonderful Damodar Leela, and we are discussing from Srīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, and today we are gonna discuss verse number 15. Taddama bhadyamanasya swarbhakasya kritagasaha dvi angulonam abhuttena Sandhadenyācha gopika. What to what meaning? Tat dama, that binding rope. Badhyamanasya, who was being bound by Mother Yaśodā. Swa arbhakasya, of her own son. Krita agasaha, who was an offender. Dvi angula, by a measure of 2 fingers. Unam, short. Abhut, became. Tena, with that rope. Sandhade, joined. Anyacha, another rope. Gopika, Mother Yashoda. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. When Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance the width of 2 fingers. Thus, she brought another rope to join it. Would anyone would like to read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Thank you, Mataji.
Here's the first chapter. Here in the first chapter, in Krishna's exhibition of unlimited potency to Mother Yashoda when she tried to bind him, the rope was too short. The Lord had already shown his unlimited potency by killing Putna, Shakatasur, and Trinavarta. Now Krishna exhibited another vibhuti or display of potency to Mother Yashoda. Unless I agree, Krishna desired to show, you cannot bind me. Thus, although Mother Yashoda, in her attempt to bind Krishna, added one rope after another, ultimately she was a failure. When Krishna agreed, however, she was successful. In other words, one must be in transcendental love with Krishna, but that does not mean that one can control Krishna. When Krishna is satisfied with one's devotional service, he does everything himself. Sevan mukhe hi jihvado swayam eva spuratyadaha. He reveals more and more to the devotee as the devotee advances in service. Jihvado, this service begins with the tongue, with chanting and with taking the prasada of Krishna. Ata Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grahayam indriye sevan mukhe hi jihvado swayam eva spuratyadaha. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.234. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayushu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtiki. So we are continuing this very, very intimate and sweet pastime of Krishna stealing butter and his mother trying to tie him up. So this Leela or pastime is the topmost in the Vatsalya or the parental rasa. So there are five primary rasas in which, or five primary relationship that one can have with Krishna, which is Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So Shanta means in neutrality. Dasya means being a servant of Krishna. Sakhya means being a friend of Krishna. Vatsalya means loving Krishna with parental affection, and Madhurya means having loving conjugal relationship. So this is the topmost in the Vatsalya rasa, this Leela. So seeing the determined effort motivated by pure love from Mother Yaśodā, Krishna is basically reciprocating to that love. So the question arises, why Mother Yaśodā is making so much effort to bind Krishna? Did she actually wanted to punish him for what he did? The acharyas don't give that particular reason. The acharyas, headed by especially Srila Prabhupada, and they said that Krishna was actually very, very fearful when he was being chased by his mother. And now she had caught him, or we can say Krishna agreed to be caught by her. And she was worried, Mother Yaśodā was worried that Krishna is so fearful that this fear could make him do abnormal things like leave the house or do other things which are wrong, or maybe even hurt himself. So in order to protect Krishna against his own fear, she decided to tie him up. She didn't tie him up because she was getting disturbed by Krishna's actions. She tied him up by her motherly love so that he wouldn't experience more fear and try to run away, and then again either hurt himself or do other damage. So here we see that now Prabhupada gives a very, very deep philosophical principle, which is the foundation of the execution of successful devotional service. Sometimes devotees can think, well, I'm serving Krishna so nicely. I'm giving everything I have. I'm doing everything all I can. And I'm doing it with so much attention and affection, serving with all my heart. But Krishna still seems so far away. He doesn't reciprocate with my devotion. So we all can think that, or we might have even thought about it already. But here we get the answer that will decide when he wants to reciprocate and how he wants to reciprocate. So he is always reciprocating. Krishna is always reciprocating because Krishna is always taking care of his devotee. He is always reminding the devotee of how to serve him in the best possible way. Krishna is also reciprocating by providing all the facilities for the service itself. So he's doing so many things. But Krishna giving himself is not something ordinary. It's not something that is very, very easily attained. So sometimes he only does that out of complete satisfaction and for the happiness of the devotee. And when he does, the devotee also feels completely overjoyed and doesn't really even consider anything in life other than to please Krishna, and the experience that comes from pleasing Krishna. So that's the goal of that devotee which Krishna surrenders to. He doesn't have any other motivation to control Krishna or make him do things. He only wants to please Krishna, and that's why he wants to control Krishna. He only wants to serve Krishna. But here, it's shown that Krishna, he is Swarat. In complete sense of the term, that means he is supremely independent. This is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadiyasya yatho anvayad yataritas chartheshu abhigna swarat. So Krishna is completely swarat. He is completely independent. Now we can think that they are people who are independent to a certain point, just like living entities, just like us. We are independent, but our independence is within a very, very certain range. It's not complete independence. And what is our range of independence? Our range of independence is that we can choose to serve Krishna or we can choose not to serve Krishna. We can choose to take devotional service or we can choose not to take devotional service and choose material activities. So in other ways, we just have a choice within these two realms, spiritual and material. And once we choose one or the other, then we have, of course, some certain choices within on how do we want to reciprocate with that energy. But that's the limit of our swarat. It's very, 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 very marginal. It's very, very limited. But Krishna is completely swarat. In Katha Upanishad, it is mentioned, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidati Kaman. He is the person, Krishna is the person who maintains all living entities and all the different energies in existence. He controls it, he withdraws it, he increases it. He has full control. He knows all the living entities, but no one knows him. He controls everything. So we are completely controlled, even if we don't realize, we are completely controlled through Krishna's energies. We cannot even move. We cannot even bat an eyelash unless the energy that controls that eye movement allows it to happen. We don't even see that. And that's an actual fact that we then think, oh, we have full control. But actually, there are energies happening all the time that are allowing our various movements. There is an energy that allows food to go in. We assume, oh, my body can function every time, but we have seen for some people it doesn't because the energy has stopped allowing that now. So everything we are controlled very, very tightly, either by the spiritual energy or by the material energy. Of course, in spiritual energy, the control is our freedom, but in material energy, the control is our bondage. But Krishna, he is supreme, ultimate controller in all aspects of existence, and no one controls him. But then again, we see here that he is controlled by one thing, and only one thing, which is love. So it is concluded that the only way he agreed to be tied up was by the pure love of Mother Yaśodā. In the 9th canto, Krishna very, very, very nicely says to Durvasa Muni, Aham bhakta paradhino hiyasatantra ivadvija sadhu birgrasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta janah priya. So Krishna says to the Brahman that I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cores of their heart. What to speak of my devotees? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. So these are completely opposite statements. One saying Krishna is Swarat, completely independent. And here Krishna is saying, Aham Bhakta Paradhino. I am completely in control of my devotee. And both statements are true at the same time. So Prabhupada qualifies that although Mother Yaśodā had pure love, initially her attempts to tie up Krishna were unsuccessful. And she had to continue to make efforts to tie him up. Although she was trying to tie him up as a service to him in order to protect him, but still she had to continue to try and make so much efforts to tie Krishna up. And it is the intensity, it is the determination to tie him up, which increased more and more. And therefore, the expression of her love increased more and more. And as a result of that, Krishna agreed to be tied by Mother Yaśodā. Because at one point of time, when Krishna sees our efforts, he sees our determination, Krishna becomes satisfied with our love. And in this case, Mother Yaśoda's love was so strong that Krishna couldn't refuse. He couldn't say no. He had to be agreed to be tied up. So I was hearing a class by His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj on this subject, and he mentioned that he heard Prabhupada mention a statement that every individual can be measured. But Krishna, he has already shown that although he is an individual, the entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth. So that means all these points considered, Krishna cannot be measured. It's very, very logical. But then we see how Mother Yaśodā, how can Mother Yaśodā then wanting to measure him to bind him? So we must just conclude that this took place simply on the platform of pure transcendental love. This is the only cause. It cannot be done by any mathematical calculation, any karma, any jnana. This can only be done by reciprocation of Krishna to pure transcendental love of Mother Yaśodā. There is no other way to bind Krishna or tie him up or measure him in any sense. Also, it is mentioned in yesterday's verse 13 and 14 that Prabhupada mentions that you must conclude that this activity of her binding took place on the platform of transcendental love. There is no other cause to bind Krishna. So this is also true that in our devotional activities that when we do devotional service, when Krishna is pleased, he actually shows his pleasure to his devotees in some form or the other. And when he is not pleased, our activities will be shrama eva hi kevalam. It's just basically useless labor. But when our activities, when we don't please him, our activities have very, very little value. But even if he's slightly pleased, he will give some indication in one way or the other by inspiring us to do more devotional service. So we can, this is a litmus test for us. If we think, okay, is Krishna reciprocating? So we can ask ourselves, whatever stage of devotional service I am in, do I desire to do more? Do I desire to grow more in Krishna consciousness? Do I want to spend more time in serving Krishna or his devotees? Do I want to gain more skills in serving Krishna and his devotees? If the answer to that is yes, that means Krishna is reciprocating. That means Krishna is giving us this taste. He wants us to come to him. That's why he's giving us this desire, because it is a transcendental desire. It's not a very common desire. We can ask people at our work, who are not in Krishna consciousness, do they have desire to serve Krishna? I don't think any of them will say yes. So if we have this desire, that means we have got something very, very special that majority of people in the world haven't. So we should cherish that. We should value that. Sometimes Krishna doesn't have to personally come in front of us to confirm that he's reciprocating with us. This desire of us to grow in Krishna consciousness is a clear indication. So Krishna reciprocates in different ways. And when he is really pleased, when he is completely pleased, completely satisfied, then he becomes transcendently happy. And then, the devotee, experiences, he or she experiences transcendental symptoms of devotion. So we have seen in our movement also sometimes, devotees do show some symptoms, although they don't intend to. And when we see, okay, this is Krishna's reciprocation of their love, and that's why these transcendental symptoms are even arising out of a devotee. So this is when Krishna is very, very pleased. So of course, we all also want to please Krishna, and of course, when he shows his pleasure, devotee also becomes overwhelmed with happiness. And then also transcendental knowledge is revealed to the devotee as well when Krishna is very happy. The world looks very beautiful. Everything looks very beautiful. Everything looks connected to Krishna. everything looks like it is meant for Krishna. So if everything is meant for Krishna, it's like you are just dealing with paraphernalia to serve Krishna. So then what is the problem? Everything is Krishna conscious. So then as a result, we become really pleased, happy, satisfied, peaceful. But then also Krishna leaves after some time. We sometimes, oh, Krishna was just there in my last round of chanting, and then where did Krishna go in this round? My mind is going everywhere. So this happens to all of us. Oh, this was such a wonderful festival. We were so wonderfully absorbed. And then tomorrow I can't even remember what happened yesterday. So this happens to us. Krishna leaves us for some time. And then again and again, we have to make efforts to please Krishna. We have to again win him back. We have to again bring him back. So, but whether Krishna comes back or not, it's Krishna's choice. Why? Because we discussed Krishna is independent. He is supremely independent. He is Swarat. And a similar mood was exhibited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shikshastakam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing this Madhurya love, this Param Bhav. This is the topmost experience in bhakti, is what Mahaprabhu is going with. But then in his instructions, in the last instructions, he is saying in Shikshastakam, I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do so. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So imagine the amount of love Mahaprabhu is showing towards Krishna, amount of service Mahaprabhu is doing for Krishna, amount of bhakti he has, because he's Krishna himself, he's the topmost devotee. And how much is our bhakti? But then he is showing the topmost devotee is also saying that you are my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So if we don't even have a fraction of that bhakti, how can we put conditions to our bhakti that Krishna, you have to now reciprocate? No, we have to just accept whatever Krishna gives us. We just have to understand he is independent, but we can control our love towards him. We can control our commitment towards him. We can give more of ourselves to him. We can surrender more and more. And Krishna cannot stop us from that. Yes, we can do more devotional service. No one can stop us from that. But Krishna's reciprocation is completely in Krishna's hands. Then in the purport, Prabhupada also mentions this verse from Padma Puran. Very nice verse. We all have heard this. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyaha sevan mukhe hi jihvado swayam eva swaratyadaha. So he reveals more and more to devotees as devotee advances in the service, who are not engaged in fulfilling material desires. And then he mentions jihvado. So this devotional service, it starts with the tongue, with chanting and taking prasadam. And the word namadi refers to Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, but predominantly the name, because everything starts from the name. The qualities, form, and pastimes are later revealed once we focus on the name. So this is the way for us to advance in devotional service, is to use our tongue to chant and glorify the Lord, chant his holy names, and take Krishna Prasadam. These are the two and the only functions of the tongue in devotional service. So, we hear all these pastimes of Krishna every day, especially through these daily morning Srīmad Bhāgavatam study sessions. And we are getting some transcendental knowledge and inspiration from them. But we should find opportunity to speak about these pastimes to others, to our friends, to our family members, to people in general. We should look for opportunities to speak. And when we speak about Krishna, everyone will listen. Why? Because Krishna is all attractive. Presenting it in a way, we should present it in a way which is very pleasing. One becomes transcendently enlivened, and the hearer becomes transcendently benefited in so many ways. And that is the essence of devotional service. So we should look for opportunities to speak whatever we hear. about Krishna, and or whatever we read about Krishna, and then our Krishna consciousness will be firm. If we don't speak it, we will lose it. It is always very difficult to remember it unless we have spoken it, unless we have repeated it. If we speak it, what it becomes is it becomes our future memory. It becomes somehow embedded in our brain, and then you will have access to it in future years as well. And when memory is in Krishna consciousness, when memory is in Krishna, Krishna consciousness is also there, because we are always, we have got information about Krishna in our mind and we are speaking it. So that makes us more and more Krishna consciousness, because we are remembering more and more about Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada makes the point that service begins with tongue and chanting, and we are taking Krishna Prasadam. This is what the verse in Padma Purana is indicating. Sevan mukhehi jihvado. And why from the tongue? Because tongue, this is the most difficult sense organ to control. We have heard of in Nectar of Instruction, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jihiva Vegam, Udarapasta Vegam. So this tongue is a voracious sense. It always wants to speak something. It is always reminding us how much we should be eating something. And even if it's not the right time, it still reminds us to speak something or to eat something. So we have to deter these wayward thoughts coming especially from the tongue and direct towards these two transcendental activities, which is speaking about Krishna, chanting, and taking Krishna Prasadam. So, and we should take Krishna Prasadam in regular intervals to inspire us in devotion service and experience transcendental happiness. So when we take Prasadam, it's actually a wonderful opportunity to not discuss about social subjects or economical subjects. We should see, when we are sitting down, let's discuss about Krishna's pastime. So this way, while having Prasadam, the tongue is engaged in honoring Prasadam also, but it's also engaged in glorifying Krishna. So we can make like a fast track progress. We just have to start speaking about Krishna every time we all take Prasadam. And back to the main point, which can't be emphasized enough, that Krishna is completely and totally all-powerful and independent, and that it is this love, it is pure transcendental love that attracts Krishna. And when that love becomes strong, then Krishna becomes satisfied. And then what happens? So basically, Krishna can choose to be tied by us. So Vraj Bihari Prabhu very nicely mentions in his recent class on chanting, he was saying that he heard Prabhupada mention this, that we should try to capture Krishna. We should try to capture Krishna. That should be our goal. So we should, even if we are chanting through our chanting beats, we should try to capture Krishna. If we can't capture Krishna, we should try to choose Krishna. We should try to choose Krishna. So when the option comes from material activities or Krishna conscious activity, we should try to choose Krishna conscious activity. And then even if we can't choose Krishna and somehow or the other we have got deviated, still okay. Try to connect back with Krishna. Try to bring your mind back to Krishna. So it's not in chanting, the offense is not actually our mind going everywhere. That will happen because our mind is not pure. That's why we are here. But the offense is not trying to bring the mind back to Krishna. Because if we can just come back to Krishna, then eventually we will choose Krishna. If we can choose Krishna, we can come to the stage of capturing Krishna, just like Mother Yaśodā. And then if we can capture Krishna, then we can eventually surrender to Krishna and then surrender to his will. So a devotee needs to constantly endeavor, just like Mother Yaśodā. We said even if she's such a pure devotee, she's the topmost devotee in the Vatsalya Rasa, still she had to put so much effort. And so we also need to put a lot of efforts. We need to put endeavor in pleasing Krishna. And what is the best way to please Krishna? As Bhagavad Gita says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drinavritaha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So we should chant Krishna's glories. We should Yatantascha dridhavrita. We should endeavor with great determination. We should bow down before him. And we should always serve him with devotion. So we need to constantly do it. Even if we fall down, we fall apart, we get distracted. We need to come back. We need to again endeavor, and eventually we will win Krishna. And what happens if we can do this throughout our life? Bhagavad Gita 4.9 says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjunaha. So Krishna says, O Arjuna, one who knows my transcendental nature of my appearance and activities, which was Namadi, that person does not, upon leaving this body, takes birth in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. So Hare Krishna, I'd like to stop here. I'd like to ask devotees if they have any thoughts, comments, or realizations, or questions they would want to share. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thanks for the lovely class. Just wanted to ask, you mentioned that it's up to Krishna how much he reciprocates to a devotee. And I read somewhere in my notes that when we start chanting and we're sincere, that Krishna is obliged to reciprocate. But is it a guarantee that if a devotee is sincere and they're doing this sadhana and chanting, that Krishna will definitely reciprocate, will take those 10 steps forward if the devotee takes one? Thanks.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. Very, very nice question. Yes, Prabhu, that's right. Krishna reciprocates. Because Krishna also mentioned, as in today's verse we discuss, Aham Bhakta Paradhino, but when Krishna reciprocates and how Krishna reciprocates, it's completely Krishna's choice. Yes, Krishna will reciprocate, because that's why this process works. That's why we all are here, because we have full faith that our Krishna is really sweet. He really loves us more than anyone else in the whole creation. And we know that he is already reciprocating with us by giving this desire to come close to him, by desire to learn more about him, desire to serve him more, desire to serve his devotees. So he's already reciprocating with us in one sense. So Krishna is already reciprocating, and he's going to continue to reciprocate more and more. But he might reciprocate with each devotee differently and individually, because Krishna's relationship with each devotee is also very, very individual. So yes, he will reciprocate, but how and when, he is completely independent to do that. As we heard that verse from Mahaprabhu that even if you embrace me or you leave me broken-hearted by not appearing before me, you are my true Lord, and I will worship you unconditionally. So that's the mood that the devotee needs to have. Devotee cannot expect Krishna to reciprocate in a certain manner that devotee has in mind. He has to let Krishna reciprocate how he wants, because we have to understand, although he is under the influence of devotees, he comes under the influence of devotee, he's still independent at the same time. So sorry, Prabhu, I'm not sure if I've answered you or I've confused you a bit more, but let me know if you have any questions or thoughts further.
No, that's fantastic. That's a really full explanation. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Any other last thoughts from anyone?
Prabhuji, thank you so much for such a wonderful class, full of practical instructions. One of the things I really liked, you said that when we hear about Krishna and his instructions, it is important that we repeat it and we tell to others as well. And this will actually solidify our progress in our own bhakti as well. So eagerness to hear, and then whatever we were heard, eagerness to speak. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for emphasizing that point. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you again. And we all are examples of that. I think when we were given this service of Srimad Bhagavatam, we always thought, like, why are we being approached to give this service? We are not qualified. But out of our own self-interest, that, okay, if we speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, that will help us to study more or speak more about Krishna, and that will further embed this transcendental knowledge more and more in our minds and thoughts in our thoughts. For that particular self-interest, we started this service of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are an example of that this is the reason we do this service, is so that we can be more connected for Krishna, at least from the time when we are speaking about Krishna. So we all should start in our ways, in our small circles, in our extended families, even on our dining tables with our children. And if we are too much inspired to speak in front of others, Sundari Sita Mataji is organizing Kartik programs this month. If anyone of you like to speak on Krishna Katha somewhere, please reach out to her. Yeah, we can get you connected. Thank you, Prabhuji. Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Dhanarpana. Gokul Prabhu was saying, what is the meaning of festival and why is it festival every time in Golok Vrindavan? He was saying it's because the festival means the joy devotees derive when they talk about Krishna, and in the spiritual world, everyone is just talking about Krishna. Therefore, every moment is a festival. So that was another definition of festival he gave. The joy we derive when we talk about Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. That's so wonderful. And festivals are a wonderful occasion because a lot of festivals are happening on a particular pastime of Krishna. So yes, we like to do a lot of physical work, cooking, and setting up the festivals. We've just got a Diwali and Govardhan Puja festival coming up. But yes, we should take time to actually discuss about that pastime amongst each other, because the joy that we get from that is beyond anything we have experienced. So thank you, Mataji, for reminding us on that. Okay, thank you, dear devotees, for joining today. Kantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Have a wonderful day, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you. Such a wonderful class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.